Hey, Dino in the house tonight. We are Tony Talking Trash. We are doing, since we did the Talking Heads, well, we thought we'd just do something similar to it in at least that. And we're going to do Talk, which actually is nothing like it. You guys know, if you know anything about Talk, you know, one of the things that Dino and I guess are going to bring into more light, at least some of our discussion, is kind of the metamorphosis of the band, Dino, how they kind of went out they kind of ran the whole gamut. They started electronic Duran Duranish and took off,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, they did. And believe it or not, the only time that I saw them was during that period. I saw them open for Elvis Costello, believe it or not, at one of the
Wow.
large sheds at Meriwether Post. But that was them over here for the original album, Talk.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, they really promoted that. They really thought they had a good look and they thought their sound was commercial. And, of course, their response at the Duran Duran concerts and stuff were huge. And
yeah,
so,
it was that album, The Party's Over, from
yeah,
'82.
that's right.
And they were
That's
they were just over here, and of course they were in the outfits doing the synth
yeah.
heavy, very synth heavy. But even then, when I saw them and I got in the first album, I saw things with Mark's songwriting that maybe other people didn't. I don't know. It wasn't the music as much, but I definitely saw it in the songwriting, even at the beginning.
Yeah, I think there's some spots in it you can see now looking back, but
And
it's
especially as
really
you move forward, you can see
yeah,
it.
it could have gone either way. You look at that record and
Yeah,
what was the follow up, going to be. And it's just interesting how it incrementally moved a few more natural instruments and a few more natural instruments. And next thing
right.
it's a whole other thing. Well, they had five records and that's all the band had. And there was also, and I guess I'll show you guys this too. There also was a solo record Mark Hollis made about 11 years after the last one. Very bleak affair here.
Well, that
Even
was
more, it convinces me even more, and we can get into the subject more, that he kind of went through almost a Scott Walker thing when this thing was done.
And there's also a reason he did that. That was part of a two contract deal with was a Polydor
That's right.
because he owed them an album. And the way
After
he owed,
Laughing Stock.
yeah, he was probably just like, okay, I've worked on this stuff. Yeah, because you don't want to owe them anything. You don't want the
That's
label to
right.
come back and go, dude, we gave you 75 grand to do it. You didn't do anything. So
But it's amazing.
he
But it's
delivered the
amazing.
album.
I guess what you're trying to say, Dino, is I guess he wanted out.
Yeah, he didn't want to be involved with a major label anymore, and that's why I always thought he would do more work after on independent label or his own label, and just say, you know what, screw everything. I'm just gonna do it my way. I'm gonna publish it myself. I'm going to press it. I'm going to throw it online. Whatever he could have done, but I mean, he could have ran it himself. But it's almost like he just stopped after that.
Well, and it's funny. It's 11 years later with that record, and then they released it. And when you listen to it, it bears no resemblance. Well, it bears a little bit of resemblance to Laughing Stock, but really, it's even just more reduced than that. It's the same Scott Walker fade off into nothingness type of
Yeah.
thing. It just blows my mind how these people get into this.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that was, and he wanted to deliver something, and he delivered it. And all they said is, we need another album. He's like, well, just take this. It's like, you asked for it.
And
There's a
goodbye
forever.
out the door,
And
man. It's
goodbye. I never want to talk to you again. I never want to speak to you guys again.
and it makes it all the more disturbing when some of the lyrical content as you progress through the records, it becomes more inward and more
Yeah, and
inward
he
focused and
and I think that was a big fu to them in a way. That last the solo album, because I think he got a ton of shit when he came out with Spirit of Eden and Laughing Stock. They just gave him, he just got a lot of shit. They were looking for hits. They were looking for something more poppy sounding, and he delivered this. And I'm sure he was, they weren't extremely excited about it at the time. And this is the direction they were going in. And I think that was his whole thing. Like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm done. You
It's
know,
amazing too the band always seemed to like Lee Harris and Paul Webb always seemed to
they
support
stuck
the band.
with him.
Yeah,
And
incredible.
one of the things is Tim Fries Green, who's a producer. He's like another part of the band. I mean, he was with the band from all the way to the end, and
Right.
he played with them a lot live when they played live. And I think Tim Fries Green could be. I mean, he's actually a part of the band. I mean, he could be not only a producer, but I think he was a band member. You know, and he did a
Mhm.
lot of work with Mark Hollis. They were together all the time, and a huge influence. He's done some things lately. Tim Green, but I don't think he's had the coverage that he did with Talk Talk. I mean, he was
Yeah, what
literally
did I
playing.
forgot? Do you know what Mark died of? Did Mark die because of,
Yeah, Mark had cancer. They didn't announce
that's
it till later. When he first passed away, they didn't say it.
right. Gee.
You know, and
Yeah, too many, too young too. Well, there's five of them, man. I'm going to get started
go
here,
ahead, man.
and my start is going to obviously be at the place you talked about where we started, just completely different from the rest of the catalog.
Yeah,
The very first record, it's a pop record. Even the song "Talk Talk," it was their first single years before they had
right.
this. The party's over. Of course, I'm talking about. The party's over here. We're talking about
That's
the
it.
early days here. 1982 is the beginning, right in the
Yeah.
heart of the deal. Have you heard the news? Mirror Man, Candy, Another World Hate. I mean, it does have traces, like you say, of a little more intelligence. But as far as what the sounds they draw from it, it seems very much based in the electronic corner. And
Well, it was the
now you
sound
can
of the
see it to the
day.
fact.
It was
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was the sound of the day. You can say Duran Duran, but I also see a lot of Spandau Ballet and
That's right.
Ultravox maybe in the later period, that type of thing.
And you know
And
what I
that's
always
that.
say there, man? Roxy Music, Brian Ferry, man. I mean, there's a lot of bands and Bowie that left their whole. It's kind of a hybrid
Oh
in there
yeah, yeah,
somewhere that.
and I'm sure he would have told you that. Mark would have told you what where they were pulling from, and then he definitely gained his voice after that. So that's
I
your
know.
number five. Party's over.
That's my number
My
five,
number
bro.
my number five is the party's over. Also, it's the same. Yeah, it's the
Well,
debut
what did you
album.
think about this? What were your favorites with this on this when you
Well,
saw it
we'll get
live?
to that. We'll get to that when we talk about the top 10. Yeah,
Okay, okay, all
there's some
right.
good songs on there. I mean, I
Yeah,
like the
it's
title track.
different.
I like the party's over. There's a few tracks that stand out for me. Yeah,
Yeah, I like the party's over too, man. It's a good song. Okay, man, that's our number five. Now we're going to number four. My number four time. This is probably where we may split off. We may not. I don't know.
yeah.
But number four for me is going to be reluctantly, and it makes me bum out that an album this good is my number four. Number four, but I thought about it's my life. The next one
Wow.
right down the line here, 1984, man, with such a great song, ruined by No Doubt, because they tried to get the whole thing. I love Dum Dum Girl, of course.
Oh God, yeah,
Last time, Tomorrow Started isn't bad, but this is one you really for the first time. I noticed how great the bass, the rhythm section was. This
oh
record
yeah.
blew
No,
my
they're
mind.
very
I mean,
good.
it's starting to replace a few. You got a few natural keyboards in here, a few natural things. It's still synthetic, but
Yeah,
and the entry of Tim Fries Green, or however he pronounced it, is there, and but anyway, yeah, man, EMI Records in 1984, the time when Missing Persons, I guess, was on that label too. Talk
yeah.
Talk, It's My Life.
Well, there you go. Well, it is. There's not a lot of separation because there's not a lot of releases. Now, when I put these together, these are the amount of times that I've listened to the albums over the years.
Okay,
And as much as I like the last two albums, Spirit of Eden and Laughing Stock, I don't listen to I love to listen to them in their entirety, but then I'll put them away for a while and then I'll pull them out again. You know what I mean?
right.
It's not my everyday. I'm a pop. I like a lot. I like a really good structured pop song, and I love these albums, and I listened to them this weekend, both of them again. And there's a couple tracks that I really like off the albums, but my number 4 is actually Laughing Stock. So I know it's low, but it's just not. It's not out all the. It's not out all the time. Yeah.
Well, you know, I didn't have this one. I told you when I had this,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
When we first talked about doing this, this is one of this. I newly acquired, went out and got this. So,
Yeah.
and it surprised me. It surprised me where it came in, but you know, I read about it before, and
Oh yeah.
so what do you think, man? I mean, what are the ones here? I got my favorites for sure here.
Well, we'll cover those in the top
Okay.
10 too. I mean, you know,
Yeah, this has
there's
got
only a few songs, and remember, a lot of these songs are very long. They're
they're all there's only
7,
6
8
songs.
minutes, 9
Yeah,
minutes.
3 on each side, bro. That's it.
They
Three
they
aside.
they the crescendo and the build, and then the crashing, and the, you know what I mean. It's that
Right.
loud, quiet, loud, which I really like, and a lot
Well,
of these does
that's what
that.
it was, and that's your number 4. So that's going to be my number 3. That's my number 3, and a lot of it might breed from infamiliarity. But I tell you, I've listened to it about 5 times, 5 6 times.
Oh yeah,
I'm spellbound by it. I can't. You know what happened with this essentially is what was described to me is they took musicians in with the barest, faintest of ideas,
yeah,
recorded what they did, and then they looped the best parts of those, and ended up kind of loosely using the improvisations of people and themselves
right,
and using that as the base of it. And really, when it came to Laughing Stock, man, it even got the one thing I remember talking to you about, Dino's, when I had this was the guitar, the direct guitar. It's kind of off putting
yeah.
because everything else has got big room and a big reverb, and then you get this guitar and it's like right in your face. You're like, what in the world? I mean, it's just like nothing else I've ever heard. I mean, this record is from another. It's even more going out from
Yeah,
Spirit of Eden. I love
yeah.
Spirit of Eden. I love Spirit of Eden. Spirit of Eden, and well,
Y-
you know, we don't have much left to talk about. But this is my number 3 here, Laughing
Is
Stock,
Laughing
man. I
Stock.
got my favorites on it, and on my list, I'll tell you, I have my list of 10 songs. There's a bunch on here.
Well, my number 3 is Spirit of Eden, actually. Uh, so I look at those as bookends, Spirit of Eden and
Wow.
Laughing Stock.
Yeah.
I mean, because I like to listen to them together, one after the other, and then my favorites sometimes go from one song to another. Because if you listen to these long enough, you'll hear different things that you didn't hear before. Every time you listen to them.
There's a lot of space in it.
Oh, it's just
Increasingly more as you get to
quiet.
Laughing Stock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and and being able to fill that space, and then coming back, and then there's some dissonance where it's really dissonant, when you're just like, you don't even need lyrics. There's no lyrics, there's no.
So, what's your thought about this compared to when it came? I mean, this was such a this
Well,
was
it was a
you
shock
would
for me because I was used to the other albums, and when
it
these
wasn't as
came
big of
out,
a shock.
it wasn't as big of a shock because I could still hear Mark's songwriting when when that happened, when Spirit of Eden came out. So yeah, I mean, I loved it, man. I mean, I knew it was not destined for commerciality at all. I knew it was not a commercial hit. It wasn't going to be. I knew there were going to be a lot of people disappointed that followed the band. But if you were paying attention to the 2 albums before that, you could see traces of where he was going. And I stick with that. Yeah.
3 aside, man. 3 aside on that one too.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay, so that
So
was
you're
your
number
number 1.
2.
That was your number 2.
No, that was my number 3 was Spirit of
That
Eden.
was your
What's
number
your
3.
number
So we're
2?
ready for my number 2. Well, my number 2 is going to be the only place we haven't gone yet, man. And it was a hard one to do, and this is a really important one for me. I listened to
Oh,
it.
yeah,
You
that's
know, if you're going to rate it, which one I listen to the most, and this would probably be number one. I probably
Yeah.
listen to this one the
Well,
more.
that's what
But I
I.
mean,
That's
this
what
is the
I.
one that's starting to move in, but it just doesn't.
Yeah.
The other ones kind of opened a lot of stuff up. I have a lot of ones that I love on this, but
Yeah.
it's a different. It's opening up a different way. It's a progression, like you say. You've got
Yeah.
real guitars. You've got that band that he tried to take out after that. I saw this thing at Montreux and all those. It's just beautiful, man. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no question that he had it going here, and it is amazing that he took the quieter, uh,
Side.
unusual turn
Yeah.
after the Spirit of Eden. Just that's what
Yeah.
surprised people where
Yeah.
this went to, because
Yeah.
this was pop. This was pop genius. I mean, it was. It's a
Yeah.
masterpiece. It's a really underrated record. You don't hear enough people talk about it. I think it's one of the great '80s records ever, and that's my take
Oh,
on
it's yeah. So my number two is "It's My Life," the one that you put down at four. That's mine, and these are the ones that I've listened to the most. And I think there's some standout tracks. "Dum Dum Girl" and "Such a Shame" I've listened to a million times. "Does Caroline Know?" "It's You" is another one. The
it. Yeah.
final track on side two.
That's
I
great. Yeah, I forgot that one. Forgot
I
about that.
love "It's You."
Me too.
And
Freaking bass
"Tomorrow
player.
Started" is another good track. So this is an album that I've listened to a ton. Like, I can't begin. I mean, I bought this when it came out. So I've been listening. I've probably listened to it 100 times at least.
But you know what? Progressing on to Paul McCartney's band from here, Robbie McIntosh, the guitar player.
Yes.
Morris Pert, the percussion player on this record. I didn't realize that
Yeah, he brought in
until I
some
just
really
looked
good
at that.
session musicians
God almighty,
when
man.
he had a chance. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
fantastic, man. Great
Morris
record.
Purdom on percussion. Yep,
That's your number two.
that's my number two. "It's My Life."
All right, man. I'm going to go to my number one. And you know what my number one is? The one that we talked about before here. We talked about it before. You talked about it before. It's going to be Spirit of Eden. The one where they jumped
Spirit of
off and
Eden.
went in the pool, the rainbow, desire, Jesus Christ. I mean, the
Right.
whole first side to me is the one where I just like went like into
Yeah.
like a vat of hot, like dissolving. I've
And
just never heard anything like this before. And it was
they
so
never
weird.
got to play any of this live, which
I
I would.
never figured out. It's amazing, and I, as a musician, never figured out the guy's formula. But after he said it later, I'm like, I go back to records. I'm like, fuck. Why didn't I figure? I just was baffled how they ever did something like this.
I would love to have seen this in a small theater or a small club with just four of them sitting around: piano, guitar,
Oh,
bass, drums,
oh yeah.
maybe whatever else. Organ. He was heavy into organ. But if you
Yeah.
notice, there really isn't any synths on these two
No,
albums. There's
no. It's like he
organs.
ran away from him.
He ran
he was.
away.
He put the crocs up.
He was like, "No, no, we're not doing that." It was piano, organ, which, and if you notice through every album, there's organ. He's always been an organ guy.
Yeah, he
Uh,
made the natural drums in Color of Spring. It sounds like there's mostly natural drums from then on. And it was
yeah. Oh,
electronic.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so
but
that's your number one then.
that's my number one, man.
Well,
It's close. One and two
my
are close. I mean,
my
neck and
number
neck.
one, my number one that you already showed was The Color of Spring.
Of course, man.
That's one of my most listened to albums in the last 30 years, actually. Um, it's just full of everything. And that's one of those albums I listen to on the road. That's one of my road mixes because I love the big beat. I love the sound of the percussion on that one. And the songs are just, my God, everything, you know. And if you
Look at
listen
the
to
handwritten
something like
lyrics on it.
"Time It's Time" or "April 5th," you're getting an idea of kind of where he was headed.
Time it's time, man. It's
Yeah.
some special stuff. Give It Up is great too. I don't believe in you's great too. The same way I believe in you is. I mean, I love them both.
Yeah.
They're both fabulous. And
I
of
mean,
course,
man.
Life What You Make. What a great single, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Man.
just,
Yeah,
yeah. So
see
that's
Tim.
it, man. That's,
Yeah, see Tim Freeze Green, piano, Kurzweil piano.
yeah.
He's on all these songs. Organ, yeah, he's a keyboard player.
He was
Yeah,
embedded, man. He was embedded as
yeah,
a producer and embedded, and he just stayed with Mark till the end. You know, I mean,
absolutely.
he was always there, and you know, it was Lee Harris and Paul Webb, Mark and Tim Fries Green. I mean, that was the band really, and then he
This is a
pulled some
great
people
time,
in.
man. I remember thinking I had something special with this, and I had this on CD in the day. I remember thinking this was like, man, something
And
that
somebody
I
else.
liked, that I couldn't believe, that I really felt like almost like in the United States, EMI's promotion kind of let them down with this. And I think
Oh
EMI
yeah,
America never really had it going. They screwed off on
nah,
that Never Let Me Down Bowie record. The Tin Machine thing was on that. It didn't really take off.
yeah. They
Missing Persons, they didn't really do much. I mean, it never did do a whole lot, that label did.
well on tracks 1, 2, and 5, which are Happy as Easy, I Don't Believe in You, and Living in Another World.
Yeah.
Remember, I said organ was always very heavy with the band.
Yeah, it's right
Steve
there.
Steve Winwood on organ on these on those 3 tracks.
Awesome, man.
I don't think you can find a better organ player in the studio than Steve
No, I
Winwood.
think they got the spirit with that. I'm looking at it right here. You are totally right. And more Robbie McIntosh here.
And David Rhodes playing guitar. David
Yeah.
Rhodes, also of Peter Gabriel,
Morris
and Peter
Perts.
Gabriel's
Yeah.
touring
God.
band. Yep. So
Yeah, it seems
David,
like he was trying to build the thing like Gabriel, kind of like, yeah, here's my little nest, or Todd, like, here's my little nest.
yeah.
Let's boil something up here. Yeah, it's great.
And he brought David Rhodes in, and
Yeah.
Steve Winwood, man, the organ.
Yeah. Well, I think anyway in the United States, ridiculously low
Yeah.
profile,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a band that I know was dear to your heart. So, and I kind of, this is one that I kind of grew on later and invested more in, and like I said, I
Yeah.
didn't have a laughing stock, and I got that Hollis record and stuff, and it's even more
And
out there.
and I've
Scuffwalkers.
not looked it up, but they really didn't tour over here. Not much. I mean,
I like Prefab Sprout. They didn't tour either.
I think it was because, like you said, it was probably a record label issue where they didn't have the cash, and they went, "Oh well, the album's not doing anything. Yeah, we can't give you any tour support." So they said, "Well,
You
fuck
know,
it, we'll just play Europe for 5,000 seaters." You
I
know?
tell you, that's exactly what happened. One of the things that happened to the guy, I mean, even though he might not have enough to cut it, but when the bass player left Utopia, Chasm Sultan signed to EMI, got an advance, put his record out. Tommy Price, all those guys playing on, just died completely, no promotion whatsoever.
Yeah,
Dead, just dead on the doornail. We played local
yeah.
gigs in Long Island.
Yeah, didn't give
Terrible.
them any money. And I think, you know, that's what a lot of bands still making good money in Europe and not coming here. They don't
Oh, yeah.
have to. Why do you have to? If you can do a 3,000 or a 5,000 seater in Europe, and then you come over here and you can barely sell out a 600 club, you know, a club for 500, why would you come here and waste all that money, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that was with them. I've not looked it up, but I mean, I would have seen if they were playing a lot, especially during that next period. But unless they supported someone, I never really saw them. I didn't see a club show or a small theater or
Wow.
anything during that period. So,
Yeah. Maybe they
because I
didn't
would
tour
have
much.
gone, I definitely would have gone. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. And like I said, I saw them for the party's over. So,
Yeah, I don't remember on YouTube seeing a lot of live action after Eden or anything like that. Just that Color Spring stuff around that time was a big band they had. That's what's online.
oh yeah,
Anyway, thank you everybody. Remember to subscribe. Remember to like the video. Should have told you hit the like button when we started off here. Please do that. Please help us out, guys, and subscribe and leave your comments below. We want to hear what you guys think about
yeah.
Talk, and whether you agree with us is that they're fairly underrated, especially when it comes to the brilliance of Mark Hollis's writing.
Absolutely. In your top five, if you got a top five, it's hard. They don't differentiate much because there really isn't a lot of content. But definitely leave your top five in or any comments that you have. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. And we will catch you guys next time with the top 10 Talk, our favorite songs.
Absolutely. See ya.
Car out and the fender was gone. Tommy said, "Cops